it was either yesterday or the day before. I was getting into like what gets you amped, pre-gym, pre-lift, pre-anything, pre-squat, pre-cardio, pre-whatever. But this is where currently I think we're taking a hit. We're taking a hit in motivation, at least in terms of anything new. You know, will there ever be another Rocky? I'm not so sure. I'm not so certain. You know, I think Creed was good. I don't think it scratched that same itch of just the base level. I don't know, the Stallone-ness of the original, and that's just one thing. I mean, it's just hard to recreate that. You know, once you capture lightning, well, let's just say it's tricky to do it again, even if it strikes twice. Right? I think personally, I think the second strike for Rocky. Honestly, I consider Rocky 1 and 2 essentially one. That's like an immediate continuation. That almost counts as one. It's just part 1 and then part 2 of that original storyline. I think the second strike was obviously Rocky 4, but that's a one-off kind of thing, because it's just hard to recreate, right? So I'm keeping my eyes out, of course. I think everybody knows how good Dune was, but shit, man, Dune ain't new. Dune's just a remake of that older movie, except the movie, the quality of CGI at the time just wasn't there to actually bring it to reality. Right? But I guess that's kind of unrelated. That's a adjacent topic of the workout, right? The workout's the workout. The hype for the workout, I mean, it's just, it bleeds into everything, right? But no, so I got some legs today, quads, a touch of calves, but quads is going to be the primary the primary component. And I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, because I'm not going to squat like a behemoth. I'm going to chill out on my heavy pressing, because my recovery, or I guess you could call it my recoverability for my knees, is like, up to level 10 when I'm eating a crazy amount of food in an off season. Dieting down, a little bit less so, right? I don't have that much excess energy to, reconstitute any micro tears of my tendons, or, not that that's exactly what it's like, but I mean, I think we get the gist. So instead of a crazy heavy set of squats, I'll see how I want to go about it. Because I don't want to give my quads a break. I'm not saying I'm coming in here to just give them a light little touch up and just a little bit of detail work and leave. But just the nature that I'm not eating a ton of food now means I can't really, put the thrust to maximum. So that just means I have to back off in terms of overall heft. But I think what that means is I can really, I'm waiting for the caffeine to kick into me, but I can really lean into the supersetting kind of pumpish aspect of quads. So I think I have a few combos I'm already considering. I think leg extensions into back squats might be a little too crazy, but maybe the fact that I'm saying that it would be crazy should make me do it, because I'm already thinking it's crazy. But I'll think it over. But either way, I would imagine I'm probably going to be in that maybe seven-ish set range for quads, and I do not mind a good balance of half pressing, half leg extensions. I think that'll be all right. But really, I think I'll just have to wait until I get in there. And this is something I think a lot of fitness characters might not want to say, because if you're somebody posting yourself working out and you want people to think you know what you're doing, you're probably going to say, okay, I know exactly what my workout's going to be. This is it. Like, as if you've got this like precognition of exactly how you feel. But sometimes I got to actually get into the gym and let my surroundings sort of influence what I think is going to be good at the time. And not even what I think is going to be good, but what I think is going to like mesh well with my current state of being. You know, let's say I go in and my left knee, for whatever reason, was just totally wrecked. About a year ago, when I was in Cutzilla, Michigan, which is a little town up there that I really like. I definitely, that's like a yearly return visit, like 6-ish hour drive or so. Very quaint. They've got a badass gym. All right, a little shout out to Center City Gym. 90% sure Center City Gym, but it's man, what the hell was I even about to say? Give me 10 more seconds. I don't remember. That was probably my hardest loss of thought out of all these workouts ever. But yeah, well, I don't know what I was getting into, but I kind of, oh yeah, no, okay, no, I just remembered. So a year ago, a little cliff. It's that same, you know, that video where Chris, might have been Mike, either Mike or Chris, one of the Trent twins, jumped off that pier into the lake. It's the same city as that. But I did, when I was there, I did a gainer. You know, you run forward, you do a backflip, and I jumped off of one leg. And, you know, at the time I was bulked up. So 260-pound Sam to a single leg backflip. Let's say my knee was a little tender after that. So if I come into the gym, and for whatever reason, my knee feels like that, maybe I dropped something on it, maybe I banged it against like a door frame, any reason, well, I'm going to say, let's do something else. Let's pivot, right? Let's change gears, but not downshift, if you can follow my gist. Or, you know, maybe I get into the leg extension and I say, this leg extension must have fell from heaven the way that it's feeling today. I'm going to camp out and do 8 sets of leg extensions just because they feel so good. Well, then I'm going to do that, you know? And I think to neglect that sort of like in the zone feeling of different movements and to say, you know, I mean, this feels good, but I should do these other things because that's what everyone says you should do. You know, I don't like it. I think it's a little herd mentality, you know? I would never say you should only do leg extensions in a workout indefinitely for your quads and never do anything else, because I don't even think that. But if there's a day where for whatever reason they feel crazy good, you're getting a crazy activation, just you're more pumped, you're pumped out of your freaking mind, well then camp out. You know, I don't see the reason not to. And I mean, really, even on paper, I don't see the reason not to, because how many times, let's say you're somebody who actually does hit legs twice a week. That's 100 leg days a year. Technically, when I'm dieting, I'm only doing quads once a week, so it's 50 half the year. But I mean, it's like minimum 70 leg days a year. If you do the same thing every leg day, well, then every leg day is the same, right? So, or every lift is the same. So throw yourself a curveball, right? Do something you've never done before. I think I can be a little bit better about that too. Sometimes I'm a little stingy with doing like workouts that are already written because I like the idea of adjusting accordingly over time. But you know, let's say something just seems extra cool, well, then I'm probably going to want to do that, right? But it's, you know, there's no hard or fast rules when it comes to the working out. That's all I'm trying to get at. So I think nothing else to say, but let's just get in there and try to blow up my quads. All right, this lift will diversify, but it's going to start with leg extensions. So I'm not going to try to do the entire stack single leg and rip my quads off. I think we can all agree that's probably not an awesome plan, but I don't want to go crazy light either, or else it'll be too light, and it's like, what am I doing? So I need that sweet spot of difficult reps where I'm only going to be able to do like max 20. And leg extensions, I think, is a higher rep set anyway. You're not going to do a set of 8, at least not a really good set, I don't think. But I think the sweet spot is right at 115. So these are going to be a little more burning focused. This is, I'm talking hold, feel like I'm trying to pull my leg up around itself at the top, especially in the beginning when I'm fresh. 5 on the left, 5 on the right, and just repeat. And there's nothing magical about that. It's kind of like doing a rest pause set. But for me, at least in the beginning of quads, I think I can take this set further than I can a regular straight set. Something about having a little bit of a break. It's like the progressive difficulty, or you could say like fatigue, whatever, on a graph over time. A straight set is like, okay, it increases, it increases, it increases. This is as much as I can take. Failure. But with a set like this, I think every time that one leg gets hit, obviously a little more fatigue, but then it gets a little break and it recovers. Fatigue, a little break. And I think that climbing effect lets me bring it a little more, just because I'm basically cold, right? My quads don't have a ton of blood flow yet. I've warmed them up. Like, this weight feels good, but I'm not really warm yet. So this is kind of a good primer for me. And I've kind of started to at least start a lot of lifts like I started to start triceps. I used to just do full stack, 3 plates, go nuts, which wasn't that bad. I mean, it kind of worked. But I kind of like starting lighter and really squeezing now, so that the beginning of the workout is almost like a primer for what's next. And then, let's say I do want to do a crazy heavy set of leg extensions. Well, now I've got 2 good squeezing warm-up kind of just intensifier sets in the beginning, and my quads are ready to handle it next. And I don't feel it as much now because I think I'm getting kind of good at like physical exertion. But I remember pretty distinctly there's a time when I started on machine leg press. The one where it's kind of like a rotating sort of setup. The weight moves up at like an angle. And the second set felt lighter than the first one because the first one was relatively with colder quads. So something to think about. Something to freaking think about. I don't think every lift has to start with your wildest set. There is some benefit of working up to it. But let's go nuts here to start. Oh, okay. Let's go a little heavier. I might have actually underestimated my strength in that one. But that was good. There's no quad squeeze from a press or a squat that's going to match the squeeze and burn you can get on an extension. So it's like, obviously presses have their benefit, but don't write off the squeeze that you get sitting right here. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. That might actually be my cue to move on. Let me think about it for a moment. All right, so not the craziest set in the world, but my quads are pumped, and this is gonna make them even more pumped. So I think heaviest set ever. I feel like I've actually done I've done 11 here. 12, maybe not. So that's double the amount of weight I've got on right now. Just 6 plates. But the reps are where this set's really gonna change. This isn't gonna be like a 9-rep failure, barely re-rack it so I don't get crushed kind of set. This is gonna be a little more torturous. I wanna see in the 20s, 30 would be pretty cool. I don't wanna get a number in my head, but just as an estimate, yeah, my quads they'd be burning at 30. So let me get a good song to match and get real. Okay. That's a little too light. I can actually go a little heavier than that. Yeah, one more. Whoo. Holy crap. 8 plates for this one. So 33% heavier. I don't want to make it 100% more intense. All right, I think 7 plates is actually the sweet spot. Oh, fuck, one more. Yeah, 8 was probably too heavy. All right. This time with 7 plates. First a little too light, second a little too heavy. This is gonna be just right. Okay. Whew, okay. Let's go back to some leg extensions. Yeah. Old sandwich style lift. Leg extensions on the outside is the bread. Pendulum hip press as the meat. All right, let's finish with some basic double leg extensions into sissy squats. Oh, shit. Okay, one more. All right. Slightly lighter, and these will be like half pause reps. You'll see. That's good. Okay. All right, let's pose down. Whew. That was a good quad session. All right. Yeah, that was good. That one's got me... Yeah, that leg day's got me red in the face. And that's what I want. I mean, you know, I at least want the intensity of that is what I'm trying to get at. But let's see. What do you think? What's our guesses? I had a sneak peek a moment ago. I'm not covered in veins head to toe like peak diet, but we're getting there. The fact that it's a process just means that each time you're in here hitting something, you got yourself a little bit closer, if you kind of catch my drift. But yeah, we're getting somewhere. Just in terms of a standing sort of whatever. Woo. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, over the coming months, or I mean, probably even weeks, this sort of separation, like you can kind of get a little here, outer quad, inner quad. This one's got it a little better, medial, outer, inner, but I've still got a little layer of essentially insulation blocking us from the full picture. But I know that it's under there. So all I got to do is patiently stick to what I'm doing, enjoy it, and wait. So nothing else to say there, but so we can go home and eat something. All right. Yeah, my quads were not the only thing that got pumped up tonight. Throwing the bag into the passenger seat, guess what I notice? Front passenger side tire looking a little flat, looking a little fat around the edges of the bottom. But lucky me, I have prepared for this situation ever since the last time I got a flat tire. Bike pump right there in the back seat. So a little tricep action, bring it up to that strong 32-ish, back in business. Yeah, that'd be the worst. Because then I have to go back, get the jack, raise it up. Ugh. Best to avoid a flat tire when possible. But no, that was really good. I was getting there for those. This is something that I've kind of, I definitely noticed this at the first gym I ever worked out at, the YMCA in my town. It gets smaller. When I first went up into that gym, when I was a kid, so of course I was physically smaller, but even when I started working out there, 16, 17, like, it felt so much bigger, because it had this, kind of freak factor to it, right? Like, the gym demanded respect because I knew I was still, like, I want more. Like, I'm still the greenhorn. I'm still wet behind my ears. I'm like, all right, I'm coming to the gym, and I'm going to prove that I know what I'm doing. So it had this kind of like allure, it's like you're going into a freaking laboratory. You got to put on your lab coat, you got to put in your goggles, like you're prepped and you're going to be serious. It's not time to play around. You're about to go, you're going to deal with some dangerous things here. That's only from high school AP chemistry experience. I didn't have any labs like that in college. But the gym, I want it to demand a certain something from me. Like when I had, because at my parents' house, my basement room Like when I moved into the basement, in like this back old office section, I had half of it bed, little desk underneath, other half gym, other half rack, dumbbells, a DIY cable setup that was actually pretty freaking smooth. And I made at least a bit of an attempt not to chill on the gym half, right? I made an attempt to make sure that if I'm sitting in my room chilling, it's either like on the bed, on the desk, not like sitting on a bench playing on my phone or like leaned up against the whatever. Like I wanted that to be, you know, a space where if I'm in it, I'm there with intention, you know. And it's not, you know, it's not as though there's no room for relaxation when you're, you know, when you finish the lift. But there's a certain, there's just a certain mode you've got to be in where you know you're there for business, right? But you can still have some fun in between, you know. Like I'm not saying every lift that honestly, I don't really remember the last lift I did where beginning to end it was complete, like, you know, I got music in my ears, just you know, like I've definitely had them. It's been a while. Usually that kind of comes in waves for me, you know, where it's kind of like a build up. Okay, I'm about to do a set. Reset, repeat, you know. It's not as though I'm just chilling in between, but I kind of, you know, bring it in waves. And I think it actually gives me a little bit more of a dense, I like this sort of combo of words, density of intensity, because then it's like, okay, I can sit for a minute, maybe I can look at my phone for a second, not long. Like if you're catching yourself scrolling, that's probably a bit much. TikTok edits, good. Scrolling through Spotify to pick a different song, good. Actual like Instagram scrolling, not good. That's taking you out of the zone, you know. But in between, intensity, I mean it's a 0. Actually, maybe it's a little bit raised because you're still in between sets, but it's essentially off. And then you turn it on when it's time for a set. You turn it on when you know you're about to get serious, because that's what a real good working set demands. And afterward, there's kind of a, I mean, I don't think it's an overstatement to call it a post-lift catharsis after you've really brought it. Or for whatever reason, that workout was just so good for, you know, whatever circumstance, it's just an awesome feeling, you know. And that's a lot of the things that I really enjoy about working out for me are things that I don't really hear referenced a ton, you know. We're always talking, it's like, oh, you know, you're gonna be a more disciplined guy, or you gotta do it when you don't want to do it. You gotta, like, yeah, I mean, that's true, but the stuff that I really kind of highlight for me when I'm thinking about it is like, okay, this is fun, this is something I want to do, this is something I like doing, that I want to keep getting better at, and that I really enjoy the feeling of not only doing but also finishing, where it's, okay, I just had a crazy lift. Whew, nice, that was a good one. That was a good leg day today, or that's gonna be a really good chest day tomorrow. I can already guarantee it, you know. Like I like highlighting that positive mentality. And I'm not saying positive mentality like, you know, try to be happy-go, don't think about anything negative, whatever. I'm just saying it's like, you know, highlight the fun parts. If every day you made a list of the things that you don't want to do, or the things that you don't like, and you added it up every day, and that was like, I don't like that I have to do this at 1 o'clock, I don't like that I have to do the dishes, I don't like that I have to blah blah blah, like, you know, any number of things. Well, that sucks. You're looking at your life with a freaking negative filter. Whereas if every day it's like you're trying to make a list of the things that you're excited about doing, well, for one, you're probably going to enjoy it more because you're already looking at it from that perspective. And then what do you think you're going to do better? Now, I don't think like this all the time. Like, I'm not sitting thinking, oh man, I'm so excited to go fold my laundry. Nice. No, that's not, I'm not saying every mundane task, but, you know, for anything that does have kind of a two-sided, like working out, it's hard. You're huffing, you're breathing, you're sweating. It hurts. in a way. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. If that's all I highlighted, well, that's just not freaking cool, you know? And if you're thinking like that, well, what are the odds you're actually going to bring it? You know, well, let's take this to an extreme of mentalities, right? Let's take a kid. What is a kid is going to freaking run around until he's red in the face playing kickball or whatever because he really wants to do it. He's having fun. He's bringing it. He's enjoying himself. He's like, I want to freaking do this forever. There is nothing else on his mind. You tell that same kid, hey, you're done. Come do your homework. Come do your times table. I know you don't know what 6 times 8 is, or like whatever. Well, he's not going to have fun. He doesn't want to do it. He's probably going to freaking throw a fit. You know, obviously we're not kids, but right? If you kind of only think about the things that you're excited for and that you want to do, well, then the things that you end up doing, which you were going to do anyway, you're going to go harder at it. When I see a guy come into the gym, and I don't see it a lot, every time I say this, I'm really referencing the same guy. But every time I talk to him, he's like, feel like shit. I hate legs. Squatting today. I want to go home. That's not cool. Is that guy even going to have a good workout ever? I don't know. But he still lifts. He still comes to the gym every time. So it's like, I get it. I'm not saying I'm completely perplexed why somebody would think that. Because it's a self-soothing mentality to kind of like self-deprecate like that. Where it's like, woe is me, working out is hard. Oh, well, do I either still do it or do I complain and make myself feel better and be like, oh, it's so hard. It's like I'm on a road trip and I just passed through Excuses City to get gas and everyone knew you. Like they knew you, like you're there a lot, you know, like that's just gross, right? You know, I'm not I would never say this to someone, like unless they're unless I'm friends with someone where maybe they start talking like this. I'm never going to tell somebody this, but if I hear it, I'm going to say, yeah, you know, man, all right. And then I go do my workout I'm excited to do, and I don't think about what he just said, you know. So that's my little tip of the day. I'll only think about the things you're excited to do. Because I think not even just the freaking pro lifter, but the pro guy can basically flip any situation into a W for him. Whether it's completely motivated by delusion or it's just a little bit of positive thinking and like, you know, controlling his own thoughts. Oh, dude, you know, like imagine any hate. It's like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be squatting that heavy. You shouldn't be... That's not a good example, but anything. Maybe somebody just pissed him off. Maybe he had a really bad day. You know, any number of things. Imagine the worst day that you've ever had. Now, be within reason. I'm not saying like tragedy. That's a little bit different. Those are things that you've really got to like, you know, digest and really like deal with. I'm not saying like complete life, you know, altering tragedy. I'm saying just like nothing's going your way. You basically feel like things suck. You're like, oh, I'm so over it. I'm done. Things like that. Kind of like your most frustrating day, right? The baller of a lifter is going to be able to spin that and say, I don't know what he's thinking exactly, but somehow he's turning all of that just frustration energy into hype for his set, bringing it. And not only doing that, but also probably getting some of that energy out. And then at the end of the day, he says, God, today fucking sucked. That's a good lift, though. Right? And that's a W, at least from how I'm looking at it, as you know, because I don't know. Maybe it's too much that I'm like judging the quality of my days based on how good the workout was. But I don't know, man. It feels normal to me. So it's like I've got that. It's almost like I've got that control over how my day goes. Where if outside of it, shit has hit the fan, but I had an awesome lift. Oh shit, man. I'm good. You know. And is that crazy to say? I wouldn't think so, but you know, that's up to the individual. That is up to the individual. But I don't think it's a bad mentality. Actually, if I'm going to say it, I'm going to say that's a good mentality to have, right? Whether it's crazy or not. But yeah, plan out, go home. I think it's kind of, I don't know if I want to cook ground beef right now. Maybe this is a canned chicken night. Let me think about it. But either way, I've got some chest tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what that lift will look like, but I know it's going to end in a pretty badass pump. So, yeah, as you've noticed, I put in those fancy pants lights. I gotta tweak them a little bit. I want to get them cool looking, you know. And I can control them from my phone. So if I set up like, I could basically split them because there's 8 of them. I could have 4 lit one way and then 2 lit another. And then I could switch them, and like the whole vibe of the gym could completely 180 like that. So I'll figure it out. But it's this is a little bit of the behind the scenes, Sam. It's just like using the video camera. Like all these videos started with just I'd put my phone up here on a tripod, and then I'd be golden. Right? Your phone does all the work. But actually using all these cameras and lenses and stuff, it's a little bit of a learning curve. So it'll be the same thing with those lights, because I'm sure you're probably like, sometimes it's a little much. Like I don't want the point to be like fancy lit. Like the point's the workout, you know. But I'll figure it out. I want it to look cool. I don't want it to look like in your face, you know, just like nice. But I really didn't love the lights that are just on the ceiling, because they're too soft. Like there's no shadows. And in the gym, like just even for me, like if there's no video or anything, I want the lights to set up tons of shadows. Like you'd call that really, what do you call it? Not harsh, but really, what do you even call that? I don't know. But really like sharp lighting, so that essentially everywhere in the gym is a good lighting spot, because there's mirrors on both walls, and then I could sit and just, you know, bust out a side chest wherever, and it'll look as freaky as I can make it. But I guess you'll stay updated. I'll tweak it every so often. But yeah, nothing else to say. I'll see you tomorrow for some chest.